Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take ourselves a look at a new Dialga. And this new Dialga, ladies and gentlemen, this one has absolutely got a chance. Now, I should mention our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet. Stop me if you've heard that one before. And if we have a look at the basics here, we've got 130 HP, which is pretty high and about the best we could probably expect from a basic Pokemon. We've got a retreat cost of 2, which opens up Air Balloon to give free retreat, which is a nice thing. A resistance to grass that will be relevant if Rillaboom ever becomes good. And a weakness to fire, which with all of those welded decks running around right now, we're not exactly loving. But you are a metal Pokemon. Now, in terms of weakness, it's not terribly relevant. I mean, Zacian's amazing, but how often do you actually hit for weakness when you're playing that? Maybe that's because of how amazing Zacian is. I guess we'll never know. But the good news is here we do get a bunch of tricks. Metal Saucer to accelerate energy. We've got Metal Goggles to reduce damage, and Lucario and Melmetal to reduce damage, and Metal Core Barrier to reduce damage. Basically, you can keep going for a little while here, and that's a very good thing. But the basics are all well and good. We're going to need a reason to actually go ahead and play the card, and we totally have one. 1 colorless energy, attach up to 2 metal energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon, in any way that you like. And yes, on the one hand, this is like so many Pokemon we've seen before, and on the other hand, it is both better and worse. But the fact of the matter is, anytime you're accelerating 2 energy, I love it. And the reason is extremely simple. If I'm accelerating 1 energy, then I attach an energy to the Pokemon, and then I accelerate an energy, and then it's done. Like, I might as well have just attached to the bench Pokemon. If I get 1 attack with something like, let's say Duraludon, we'll circle back round to that Pokemon in a minute. Then I attach to Duraludon, and then I accelerate to the bench, and then if Duraludon goes down, then I've accelerated 1 energy, but I attach to Duraludon, so I've not really gotten myself any further forward. Here, however, you're accelerating 2 energy, so you're basically popping 1 on Dialga, 2 onto the bench, and then I'm loving it. And this reminds me a lot of a couple of other Pokemon. One of the ones that really comes to mind here is Volcanion. You see, Volcanion, and this was the first Volcanion we ever got, incidentally, you attached 1 fire energy to each of 2 bench Pokemon while doing 20 damage. Well, on the one hand, Volcanion did an extra 20 damage. It did 20 rather than nothing. Although, let's face it, Volcanion saw an awful lot of play, and it wasn't that often that we really saw that much use for the damage. Like, I'm not saying the damage was never relevant, but I'm saying we played Volcanion for accelerating energy. I'm not saying that we played Volcanion for the damage. Handy bonus. The thing was, Volcanion, each of the energy had to go onto a different Pokemon, whereas the translation we have here from the lovely Antoine Boulet, it is your Pokemon in any way you like. Doesn't even have to be to the bench, incidentally. You could get both those energy onto Dialga and then use a second attack. We'll get there in a moment. But the point is that Dialga is awesome, because you're accelerating 2 energy, either to itself or to the bench, and it is in any way that you like. No, you're not doing any damage, but I don't think it terribly matters if I'm honest with you. The other one that comes to mind for me was Xerneas, which came around in X and Y, and the thing with Xerneas was it didn't do any damage, but it did accelerate from the deck. And obviously accelerating from the deck basically just removes 1 level of awkwardness. It means rather than having to get the energy in the discard, you just get to accelerate them straight away from the deck. Clearly that's a big advantage. Here's the thing though, when we were playing fairy decks back then, we all just played Xerneas. So why would we not want to do that here? Incidentally, this is very similar to Xerneas as well, and given that Xerneas saw an awful lot of play, and this is similar to that, and Volcanion saw an awful lot of play, and this is very similar to that, Why would we not? I mean, current Volcanion, the one from Unbroken Bonds, does see a bunch of play. And yes, that accelerates free energy from the deck, but only for the one turn going second. Although it does then become a good non-GX attacker, especially given that Welder will pay the attack cost in one go, assuming, of course, that you also have 2 energy on the bench somewhere else. Or on the field, it could be on the active, I suppose. My point is, there are other reasons to play that, other than just energy acceleration. Certainly, Duraludon at the moment sees play. I have seen deck lists with Duraludon in doing well, and I prefer this to Duraludon. The second attack is just better, we'll get there in a minute. The first attack, you don't do 30 damage, but you accelerate 2 energy. And if we look at something like Zacian attacks for free energy. So if you do this, put Zoo on Zacian, next turn, attach, boom, you're off and rolling. Yes, I know Zacian's got Intrepid Sword, but I also know that sometimes you don't want the cards, you want the energy attachments. I also know that sometimes you'll be able to set up, using Metal Saucer as well, you'll be able to set up a couple of Zacian and really just get you rolling for the game. Because you see, we've got Metal Saucer at the moment, but that is 1 energy 4 times for the game. It's often not enough. Imagine being able to accelerate a bunch of energy with Dialga. 1 turn is 2, 2 turns is 4, 3 turns is 6, etc. And then actually being able to keep that Metal Saucer for the mid to late game. You can't tell me that doesn't sound good. But what if you're not Zacian? What if you're Zamazenta? And Zamazenta looks like it's going to be really good moving forward because it is immune to VMAXs. But it doesn't have the same abilities Zacian's got. And yes, sure, you can use Metal Saucer, but once again, you don't always want to. Why would you not want to save that for the mid to late game? But I look at this and I start looking at Copperaja. Both of them, incidentally. The Copperaja from Sword and Shield needs free energy, and again, Metal Saucer will do it, but it's awkward having your main Pokemon needing free energy and only having 4 Metal Saucer for the game. You do 220 unless you've got 8 or more damage counters on, in which case you do nothing. But you can heal and all of that, you'll be fine. And then the new one that's coming, the one that's coming in Darkness Ablaze, has the ability to make it immune to special conditions, which is quite fun, and has an attack that does 120 damage, but if any of your Pokemon have any damage counters on, you do 240 instead. But again, you've got 2 Metal Energy, 2 Colorless Energy, so you're going to use Twin Energy, and you're going to use Metal Saucer, but why would you not also want to use Dialga? The other thing to bear in mind here is that Dialga is a single prize Pokemon. So you can do a couple of things. Let's say I'm playing a Zacian Zamazenta deck. I am playing a 2-prize deck. If one Dialga gets KO'd, it doesn't matter. My opponent has still got to KO 3 Pokemon Vs in order to win the game. That KO they just got on Dialga is irrelevant. If I'm playing something like Copperaja, so I'm playing single prize Pokemon, yes. KO and a Dialga will get them closer to winning the game. But they take out Dialga, and again, 130 HP is not exactly to be sniffed at. And then they've got to start running through my Copperaja. I really like this first attack. And I'm sorry, but in a world where Duraludon is seeing play, and Volcanion and Xerneas were both great Pokemon, I don't see why we wouldn't want to use this occasionally. Now, one thing we do need to bear in mind, we have since changed the rules, so you're not allowed to attack turn 1 going first. Obviously, this would be way better if we could, but I don't think it's worth crying about. As for the attack is fine, but it's really not the reason we're playing Dialga here. Free energy, 130 damage, discard 2 energy. Now, the discarding I don't particularly like, because I've said, outside of Dialga, we really don't have a great suite of energy acceleration for metal, so I'd rather not be discarding. But I do like the fact that we can do 130 damage. Incidentally, it is discard 2 energy, not 2 metal energy. So you could, for instance, use Twin Energy and then just attach Twin Energy, discard it, attach Twin Energy, discard it, and keep doing 130 turn after turn. If you're looking for a single prize attacker in a Zacian, Zamazenta, etc. deck, go for it. Because most Zacian decks at the moment, they don't have a good non-GX single prize attacker. So this does fill that niche very nicely. and it's a standard kind of thing. You will be getting the vast majority of single prize Pokemon, which is good. You will be getting pretty much anything that's weak, which is nice. But then that goes away when we're talking about VMAXs. So you will get Gardevoir V very easily, but you won't get Gardevoir VMAX. Pretty much anything that's weak that isn't a VMAX, you'll take out. And then most single prize Pokemon will be going down. You just need to worry a bit about VMAXs. Quite frankly, I love the first attack. I think the first attack is great. And when I look at Copperaja decks, and yeah, they are decks I want to make, I look at this and go, that's probably what I want to start with. I want to try and steal a turn or two of using this. And if I can steal a turn or two of using this, then all of a sudden my Metal Sorcerer free for the mid to late game, and I'm in a great position. As for the attack, like I've said, it's fine, but it's not going to set the world on fire. I'm giving this 4 Wassies, and I know that seems generous, and I know that seems high, and maybe it will end up being a bit too high, but the way I see it at the moment, this is just a really, really nice card, and I do think it is going to be a starter Pokemon in a whole bunch of metal decks going forward. But maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me. Either way, I'd like to know, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.